and only DNVR. Two goes out to Zach, Mace, RK, and the bar. Three for Mr. B in that old trophy case. Number four still waiting for, well, bring on the chase. Out on the field at Mile High, Broncos win is our desire. Coupled with Breck, Brew, and a friend, bleed orange and blue to the bitter end. Come and join us, DNVR. We are DNVR.
We are DNVR, and we are live from Studio A. The A stands for a chance to turn the narrative.
Oh,
that's what the Broncos have this week.
One.
Thank you. I mean, I can just
know.
use A. I can just use A for the letter A every time.
That's
it's
the
great.
problem with
Sentence.
it. Yeah, no offense, but I think that we can do better than that.
I do take offense.
Yeah,
A
yeah,
lot
you
of
do.
it.
Because you can literally use A anytime
I know.
because of the article.
That's the best part about
Yeah.
being in Studio A.
Yeah. Studio B is a little bit more of a challenge, even though B can always be for Broncos.
right, exactly. Broncos, bowling, ball.
You know, I started the bit because I knew it was endless.
Yeah.
It could stand for bit.
Exactly.
It could stand for a bit.
And
if you're in here.
It does. Yeah, it could stand for that. Anyways, it doesn't stand for MSU Denver because neither of those letters are in it. But MSU, huh?
Very good.
Yeah, thank you. I've got a pretty quick brain.
You must have went to MSU Denver.
I must have. MSU Denver .edu/online is where you can go to see all they have to offer. It is the place to go if you're looking to maintain a full-time job while getting your education furthered, and then you can get a better full-time job afterwards. So check them out, msudenver.edu/online.
My boys, what's up? So pumped to jump into a Whiteboard Wednesday to break down how the Broncos turn that narrative, Ryan, and they go from beating teams that are 0-9 to beating a team that's 2-1.
Yeah, and real quick, I have an issue with this whole 0-9 thing.
Oh, because the Broncos were responsible?
Yes, I think everyone should be saying the teams that the Broncos have beat are 0-6 in games against all other teams.
That's fair. Does that make it better?
Yes. It makes me feel a little better.
Okay.
It just 0-9 seems like, they're never going to win a game.
Right,
You know, like
right.
it feels like, because when you're thinking about football, like if a team's 0-9, they're in the race for the number one pick.
Yeah.
And I do actually think there's a decent chance that you'll get those two teams 1, 2, and 3. I think the Giants will be the ones to mess that up and win a couple along the way. But anyways, it should be those teams are 0-6 against all other teams because you can't count against the Broncos the losses that they created.
I think that's fair, but you know what's interesting is the only other winless team on the Broncos schedule is the Detroit Lions, and the Baltimore Ravens were history away from losing to them 3 days ago.
Yeah, but I'll say this. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are worse than the Detroit Lions. And they may be worse than the New York Giants as well. And they're on the schedule, too.
The Eagles have sneaky playmakers though. You can just you can find
Alabama
yourself
boys.
giving up some big plays.
Their line is shredded right now.
Yeah.
And the thing that gave you hope for the Eagles was the fact that they were strong on the O-line and the D-line. And now the O-line is losing guys left and right. And Jalen Hurts is going to have to run for his life here. So it's...
Weirdly, with all those offensive line problems, the other night they set a modern era record for the least amount of called runs for running backs. 3 called runs for running backs in that whole game.
No wonder Miles Sanders did terrible for me in
Yes.
fantasy. Oh,
Yeah.
my,
You started
3.
Yeah,
Wow.
Whoops.
pretty crazy.
That is nuts.
Just imagine if the Broncos had a game like that.
I mean, talk about just failing your young quarterback.
Totally. If you're gonna help him out, and I realized you can't even know if you couldn't run the ball if you only ran it 3 times.
No, exactly.
You got to run it at least 5 times to be like, we can't get anything going.
Well, and then you'd think at least 5 times a half, right? Like if you run it 5 times and a half and you get 0 yards, you're like, okay, we're not gonna do this. But in the second half, don't you come out again and run it?
You'd think that, but do you remember, I think it was in 2014 in St. Louis, didn't Adam Gase call 8 runs?
Yes,
Yeah,
and that totally
And they
that
lost.
was not good for Peyton.
And a true story, and this has never happened to me in my professional life, an offensive coordinator coming up to me the day after and apologizing for the play calling.
How about that? Wow.
Wow.
And I'm sure he apologized to Peyton.
He said, like, look, it got away from me, and we struggled early, and we're trying to throw our way out of it. And I'm like, dude, it's okay. I mean, bad games happen, man. But Adam Gase's humanity with me when he was coaching the team is why, even though he's a pincushion for everybody else, I will not say a bad word about that man.
That's what I always tell people. Just be cool to the media. It'll take you a long way. Miles Sanders had 2 carries in the game, Zach.
Yep.
One of them went for 24 yards.
What?
So what, their per carry average for the game on these 3 carries was like 8 yards a carry, 10 yards a carry?
No, even more than that because, so they had 3 carries for 29 yards.
Oh my.
9.7.
What?
And then Jalen Hurts had 9 carries for 35 yards.
Wow.
Oh, God.
Is Sirianni calling the plays out there?
I don't know.
Yes.
Wow.
Anyways, forget about the Eagles. Let's move on to the Broncos.
It'll be the opposite for this game.
Everyone who wants to use this narrative against the Broncos totally has the license to.
Sure.
It's, for me, I think it's weird when like fans don't want to have fun with the team because of the opponents. But the people who are saying like, let's not call the Broncos contenders quite yet, I mean, have every reason to say so.
Yeah.
And the Broncos, I wish it came against a middle of the road team first, because if they lose, everyone's going to say see, and it's going to be like, they lost to one of, at least going into the season, one of the 3 best teams in the AFC.
Right.
That doesn't all of a sudden make them frauds, which
Right.
people will try to use if they lose. But if they win, it's all gone, in my opinion. You can't say anything about the record of their opponent anymore because they beat everyone that was in front of them every time, including, again, a team that everyone believes to be one of the 3 best teams in the AFC.
And then they'll go on the road to Pittsburgh, who will likely be riding a 3-game losing streak, and then they should win that game. And then if they do that, back-to-back East Coast teams, there you go.
I can't stop thinking about Henry's plus 1,800 bet Broncos to start 5-0.
Incredible. It's right there, and it's this week.
Yeah, it really, really does come down to this week. Now, anytime you go into Pittsburgh isn't a gimme.
Don't jinx it. Don't say it comes down to this week. Because,
I'm just saying, if you get through this one, he'll at the very least have a very juicy buyout. Because they'll be favorites next week.
This week is more difficult, in my opinion, than Pittsburgh, and
totally.
Yeah, pretty clearly.
It is, but at the same time, you've got I don't want to look ahead of next week.
It's okay. We're not on the team.
Right. They would probably come into that game 1-3 because I think we can all agree they're not winning at Lambeau Field on Sunday, right? Steelers.
And they'll be riding a 3-game losing streak.
Desperate team, wounded animal. It's every cliche about the wounded animal being the most dangerous.
You could say that about them this week, though, too.
They're going on the road, though. Coming back home where if you get a little thing, if you get a little momentum going, you get the crowd in your favor. And the other thing is that the Steelers, they're not an ordinary team. They're not an ordinary organization. They're a very prideful organization. And I think they would show a lot of pride in trying to fight back.
I'm just saying they're a lot worse than the Baltimore Ravens this week.
They are.
Yeah, for sure.
They are. But I just wouldn't go putting that in the bank as a dub.
All right, so if the Broncos are going to beat the Ravens, let's pull out the whiteboard and build a little game plan here. It's a little whiteboard Wednesday, so that's where we discuss just exactly how the Broncos are going to beat the Baltimore Ravens. And guys, I personally, I'm excited to see what you guys have to say about this. I personally don't think it's that complicated.
I don't either, but I think there's one key that is an absolute must, guys, and you have to pocket Lamar Jackson. What I mean by that, keep him in the pocket. Now, he is capable of beating you through the air. He has developed that. Remember, it was his 2nd year in the league, the first year as a starter, and the reports coming out of camp during OTAs and training camp were like, he doesn't know the playbook. He didn't know that they had a new playbook, and he can't throw the ball. Well, he's grown from that. He can win from the pocket, but he absolutely can destroy you through the air. Guys, the Ravens have the best rushing attack in the NFL, and Lamar Jackson is their leading rusher. So you can't let him escape on runs or passes. So to me, I don't really want a big interior pass rush pushing Lamar outside of the pocket. Obviously, we know the outsides have to be disciplined, but keep him in the pocket. Make him beat you through the air because the Broncos are equipped to deal with that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different ways to do this. This is something I always bring up when they play teams like this. And obviously Lamar is a totally different cat than Russell Wilson. When they played Russell Wilson week 1 of the 2017 season, 2018 season, they put together, and credit to Joe Woods and Vance Joseph, put together an insane game plan for how they want to deal with him in the pocket. There was a lot of containment on the edges, so it's really hard to tell Von Miller, like, you gotta let him come to you, because he'll come. So just wait for him out there. It's containment on the edges, and then it's also running stunts. So contain the edges, and then right when he thinks, oh, there's a hole here that I can jump through, you've got someone stunting coming right through there. That worked so well against Russ. Again, totally different animal, I think, when you're taking on Lamar. But those types of concepts, I think you can really use to your advantage.
It worked well in week 1. The Raiders did a lot of that. Their edges were disciplined, and you saw them stunting on some of their pass rushes. And it confounded Baltimore in pass pro. You're looking for a weakness in Baltimore's pass pro, by the way. It's more on the interior than outside. So that's where you're going. That's where the stunts are going to come into play. So you stunt Von Miller, and you have him rushing up the B gap, and you stunt Malik Reed. Same thing. You have Shelby and Draymond stunting across the interior of the line. I think that's the kind of thing that can cause problems. And then when Lamar does throw, if you make him a pocket passer, then it's incumbent on the back end to do its job. You're not worried about that. But when Lamar is efficient, he's never lost a game where he's had a 100 passer rating.
Yeah. So you said he kind of can win from the pocket now. I actually don't think so. I think that he can make plays from the pocket in a game where they're also running the ball.
Fair.
If he is forced to drop back and throw the ball, I don't know if you have any stats on like what happens when Lamar has to throw the ball 30 times, but I would guess their winning percentage goes down pretty dramatically.
Let's see, 30 times, and it's happened 11 times since he became the starter, and or my bad, 11 times because they're calm 12. 11 times, and they're 5 and 6. There you go. 5 and 6.
So you have to stop the run, and that's obvious. I don't know if that's one of the next things here. To me, it's actually one very simple part of the run. You have to stop the dive. If you allow them to get 4 yards going right down your throats, you'll lose the game. You will lose the game, because then all of a sudden you're having to commit extra resources to the middle, and then you expose your edges, and Lamar will eat you alive exposing the edges. And just they have a lot of creative play calls for once they see you sucking in. As soon as your middle linebackers are taking one more step in because they're afraid that they're just going to get blasted up the middle, it's just game over on the outside because they're running Hollywood Brown on the sweep, and they're running everything. So to me, it's not stop the run. You got to do that in every game.
Right.
Mm-hmm. In this game, it's stop the dive, stop the middle. If you can stop over the center on both sides, then you have a chance to blow up their whole run game.
So what are we talking about? What do the Broncos need to hold them to in terms of yards per carry? Because they have a league best 5.7 yards per carry, led by Lamar Jackson, 7.2. And despite being decimated by injuries at the running back position, you still have Tyson Williams, who's averaging 6.1 yards per carry. Latavius Murray down to 3.5, and then Devontae Freeman, who only has 5 attempts at 7.4. So, I mean, they're very efficient in the ground.
Yeah, I mean, you got to keep them to 3 or less on that specific play, which they're just going to, I mean, it's just part of every series. They just say, all right, blast one up the middle, see what happens. And
everybody has a bread and butter. That when everything's going wrong, what still works for you? One of the Broncos' problems is they haven't had an offensive bread and butter, the one thing they could rely on. It used to be back with Peyton, the bubble screen. Everything's failing. Let's try a bubble screen. Let's get this working. That's the play they run when they want to reestablish some stability. I mean, the interesting thing is in Lamar Jackson starts, guys, they've only as a team averaged under 4 yards a carry 6 times, and they've won 4.
Yep.
And that's why You have to stop that inside, but you also have to keep Lamar in the pocket to avoid him getting 11 yards when he goes outside every single time.
When it says Pocket Lamar on the graphic, I think of that Instagram account that makes all the players little.
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen that?
No.
Oh, it's like, I think it's called like NFL Minis or
And
something.
then do they run around?
No, it's just a picture of them like standing there and they're tiny.
What?
Why?
I don't know, but like the players like love it. They all like reshare it to their stories every
that's
time
hilarious.
the account makes it. I can't believe you guys don't know about that.
And because he's
said
like
it's
a
on
pocket
Instagram?
size Lamar.
Huh?
You said it's on Instagram?
Yeah.
That's why I don't
Well,
know
I mean,
about
it makes its way everywhere, like all
Yeah.
viral things.
All right, Mace, I think this next key is for you.
Yeah, protect the football, and that's kind of a bread and butter thing. We see the Broncos, how efficient their offense has been when they haven't turned the ball over, only 2 giveaways this year. I mean, that's the biggest difference between this Broncos team and the one last year. Last year, for example, nearly 18% of their drives ended in turnovers. They were dead last in the league. This year, only 7% of their drives are ending in turnovers. This is excluding kneel-down drives. That's 8th best in the league. They've completely turned that around. You obviously don't want to have the red zone giveaways like they had in Week 1 and Week 3, but against Baltimore, you can't give them short fields. You can't give them a leg up. So you win the turnover battle, you're probably going to win this game.
Well, and that is that you could probably say that about every game that is pretty fundamental. But
Yeah, thanks, Zach.
No, I mean I'm just no. But to add to that, Mace, the Baltimore Ravens are in the bottom third in terms of giving the ball away, and they're only average at taking the ball from you. So that gives you the opportunity to do that in this game. And like you said, Mace, if you do that, then you'll have a chance to win. And also, guys, Lamar Jackson, 3 passing touchdowns, 3 interceptions. That is not anywhere near what Teddy's doing with his 5-0.
Yeah, and I think that you have a chance, like you have a legit chance to turn him over. Again, you just have to get them in those situations where they're uncomfortable. They hate 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8 when they're telegraphing pass. But you add to that, all of a sudden you commit one too many guys to defending that pass, and he's going to take off and convert it easy. And that's probably the most dejecting thing that can happen to a defense.
Yeah.
Is you drop into cover 3, cover 4, and you've got everything covered, and and he's paused in the pocket, and then all of a sudden, you overcommit on the edges, he pops out and he runs for. I mean, you're lucky if he runs for just 8.
Right, exactly, and this is an opportunity for the Broncos to get an interception off Lamar Jackson and continue their streak of getting picks.
Yep.
All right, Kale, let's pull up another one here, and we have.
Yeah, first let's show them NFL minis.
Oh, we got it. Oh, it's like everyone else's normal size.
Yes,
oh, that's amazing.
Yes,
I love it.
That's Brandon Ayuk there.
Yep.
They had a Kyler Murray one, but I thought you guys might get confused and be like, I don't see anything different.
Oh, come
We
on.
knew John wouldn't.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's go to the next bullet point here on the game plan.
Interior boost, and guys, this is about the Broncos offense going up against this Ravens defense. The Ravens defense isn't what it used to be, guys. This isn't the Ravens defense of old where you couldn't do anything against them on offense. In fact, you can run the ball on them. They're the 5th worst rushing defense in the NFL, which helps the Broncos here, but they still have players. Calais Campbell, we'll see if Derek Wolfe is healthy this week. And it's more so, this one's more so about the Broncos. Is Quinn Miners going to be playing? If so, is he going to be able to hold his own? Is Dalton Risner going to be playing? This is so key, regardless if it's the starters or if it's the backups in there.
Yeah, because the starters have struggled here too. Mm-hmm. I mean, you look at Dalton Risner struggling against Leonard Williams in Week 1. Quinnen Williams was breaching into the pocket.
Do they have anyone named Williams?
They don't have anyone named Williams.
Good.
Now, they do have a Wolf, but he's been somewhat unhealthy this year, so he's missed some time. But it's I'll say this, it's probably a stronger defensive line overall, but it doesn't have anybody like Quinnen Williams or Leonard Williams up front. So I think you have a better chance of being able to establish your footing on the interior if you're at full strength. I'm excited about Quinn Miners long term. I'm just a little worried about him if this is his first start.
Oh yeah.
What he does.
Yeah, and I would just say if their wolf is unhealthy, they should take it to the vet.
And also, I mean, Lloyd Cushenberry, he's doing okay, but he doesn't look like he's making the big leap that I think everyone hoped he would this year.
Yeah, Miners for me is really scary. You got to cross your fingers and hope someone gets ready so he doesn't have to be, just because it's the level. I mean, he's never even seen competition half this good. I guess the Senior Bowl would be the only place where he's ever seen anything that's like played against respectable football players that challenge him in any way. And so he has such a long way to go. Like, obviously practice and those sort of things, but playing in the NFL at live game speed for a whole game is just such a different beast than anything he's ever experienced. And I worry of holds and those sort of things. Thankfully, the NFL has just kind of said holding, that's an antiquated rule, which I love. But it's
they brought out taunting.
Right, exactly.
You're obviously not a defensive player because it's driving those guys mad.
I know. Well, it really sucks when they do it to Von Miller, but they've been doing to him his whole career.
If you're the Ravens, do you start looking to supplement what you've got up front with an A or B gap blitz if the Broncos are going young across the middle? I mean,
all day long.
Yeah. Yep. Send Patrick Queen up the middle.
Oh, absolutely.
That's
confuse them.
That scares me.
Yep.
Is him being used on a blitz and then Miners and Muti, okay, the head's on a swivel. Muti's ahead of Miners clearly, but even so, if he has to start, you're still talking about somebody who's on start number 3 in his career, and then the most stable guy in the middle is a second-year center who's still learning and developing. This is where also you probably may use Andrew Beck a lot more out of necessity, because you may need to go with more I formation, offset I looks to have somebody pick that up and help the interior guys out in pass pro.
What I will say is the counter for the other side of that is teams have been blitzing the Broncos on the edges to try and take away the bootleg stuff, and it's been working. You see, if you watch highlights of Teddy Bridgewater running boots this year, every play, there's someone in his face that he's trying to run away from. If you start committing guys up the middle, that could help the Broncos at least get out on the edge on those plays. All right, guys. The bus for this weekend, the party bus, is almost sold out. So if you're hoping to hop on the DNVR party bus to the DNVR tailgate and then you get a ride back afterwards, which the best part in my mind. It's so hard leaving stadiums these days, but you'll just have a bus waiting for you 30 minutes after the game. Go right back to the tailgate, hop on the bus. They'll take you back to the DNVR bar. Then there was it was a third party, right? Because people come to the bar, they go to the tailgate. That's party number 1, maybe even party number 2. Then you go to the game. That's a whole other party. Then you come back afterwards. It's party number 3.
Yep.
Talk about a Sunday fun day. But I think we have 16 spots left on this Sunday's bus. So if those sell out today, maybe we think about getting another bus, but you want to definitely jump in on that today before those go away. And of course, if you just want to come to the tailgate, you can do that too. It's $20 for all you can eat pizza, lots of beers. I'm not going to say all you can drink because that sounds like a challenge, and I don't want to challenge you in that way. But there's tons of beer to drink, and then we are upping the games portion of the tailgate this week. We're going to bring more better cornhole, more drinking games. Can Jam, by the way, that created a debate in the office yesterday. Do you know what Can Jam is?
Of course I do.
I have no clue.
Okay.
Is it a Fort Collins
Are you
thing?
surprised?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it's just a classic yard game.
Okay, so you obviously know.
Yeah, I
the
love
way
it.
You're talking about it. Yeah, it's very fun.
So we'll have that there. That should be a good time.
Okay, what is it though?
To simplify it, basically, you and I would, if we were on a team, you'd be standing behind a trash can on the other side. I'm standing behind one on my side. I throw a frisbee. You try to knock it into the trash can.
So you're just going. It's like frisbee alley-oop.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Good
See,
way.
There's some other rules, but we don't need to
That's
get
what I
into
would have. That's what I would have called it. I would have called it frisbee alley-oop, not can
frisbee
jam.
oop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, make sure you get your tickets. It's going to be an absolute blast. If you want to get on the bus, you definitely got to move quick.
And guys, you also have to check out our friends over at Mint Mobile, because speaking of moving quick, they've got very quick cell phone service at a very affordable price. Guys, just starting at $15 a month, you get unlimited text, unlimited talk, and you get your data plans starting there. And you can get better data plans, but it's still going to cost you just a fraction of the price. And the reason is it's not too good to be true. The reason is they don't have any physical stores, so they avoid all of that overhead cost. What you do is go to mintmobile.com/DNVR, and they send you a SIM card. That SIM card, all you do is put in the phone that you already have, and you get to keep the same number that you have. So literally nothing changes in your life except you're saving lots of money every single month. In fact, you could do a family plan on Mint Mobile and probably pay less than you'd pay for one single line. So make sure to check them out over at mintmobile.com/DNVR. We've all done it, and guys, it is so easy. The SIM card comes, you download an app, you put it in your phone, and boom, there you go. You're off and running with the exact same cell phone service that I had before. It's just a fraction of the price. Make sure to check them out to save money over at mintmobile.com/DNVR.
Also, check out our friends over at Ball, who are hiring for their plant over in Golden. Of course, Ball is a wonderful place to work. Zach's aunt can tell you all about it. And Ball's been practicing diversity and inclusion for years, while other major companies just talk about it. Their culture of belonging has been noticed by the Human Rights Campaign. They have a corporate equality score of 100%. So objectively, your background, whatever that may be, will not prevent you from succeeding there. It's just about hard work and commitment, and you can be free to be your authentic self when you work at Ball. Once you work at Ball, there are lots of groups to join representing your unique background. If you want to meet people, reach new career heights, get support, Ball supports groups like the Society of Women Engineers and many others. So if you want to join that team, they're looking for people who have technical and mechanical skills to help them manufacture aluminum cans and bottles, which they've been doing for a long time, but they're doing even more now because they're making 101 billion cans a year over at their plant in Golden. Of course, aluminum is infinitely recyclable. That's one of the reasons why it's a great material to work with. So if you want to join Ball and do big things and make big things happen, text Golden to 77222 and you'll be linked to open positions. You can also go directly to jobs.ball.com and search for Golden. That's jobs.ball.com and search for Golden, or simply text Golden to 77222 to be unstoppable at Ball.
All right, boys, we got some super chats to hit here, so let's
finish up the whiteboard first.
Oh, we still didn't finish that. Okay.
We got one more point.
Last one.
Shut down the red zone. And guys, the reason for this, Broncos have the best red zone defense in the NFL. Ravens have the third best red zone offense in the NFL. So that's going to be so key in this game. And something that's also pretty basic, holding teams to field goals, you win. Letting them score touchdowns, you lose. And that's going to be key in this game. I think this game is going to come down to just a couple of points, and that is going to be huge. If the Broncos can stop them, they'll win.
And again, it basically comes down to stopping the run in the red zone.
Right.
Mm-hmm. If you can just bow your backs, and when they have, 1st and 10 from the 15, you hold them to 1. All of a sudden, they're off schedule. They've got to throw it on second. You break it up, and now you're in a great position to force a field goal. It really comes down to that. Hopefully, it doesn't come down to a 60-something yard field goal at the end of the game, because if Justin Tucker can do that at sea level,
we may be talking about 70 yards.
Imagine if he breaks his record 1 week after
week later.
It.
Oh boy!
I mean, especially if they have an opportunity to, they got to try it, right?
What if he breaks it at like 69 yards
Nice.
with 32 seconds left? Yeah, nice. And then Brandon gets a chance with no time left from 70. Wouldn't that be something?
Probably go down as one of the best games ever.
It would, but I mean, with all respect to Brandon McManus, I don't think he has that club in his bag.
Damn. Speaking of clubs in the back, that's actually what I was thinking. So in golf, you say like from sea level to altitude is about a 10% difference.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for Justin Tucker, he could probably go over 70 from here.
Yep, he probably could. You probably don't want to stretch it to full 10 since he had to hit the crossbar, but if you go like 8%, he's still over 70.
It popped up on my timeline the other day that Lane Kiffin allowed Sebastian Janikowski to attempt I think it was a 78-yarder or 76-yarder.
Oh my!
It didn't even make it to
76-yarder.
It didn't even make it to the end zone.
Oh my goodness! Wow, that's embarrassing.
But it was at the end of the half, and it didn't matter.
Well, as we saw with Matt Prater's
Yes.
long attempt, sometimes it does matter.
Yes, sometimes it does, but in this case, it didn't.
And the Broncos did find that out back in 2002, I believe. Jason Elam had a long field goal attempt. Baltimore returned it all the way for a touchdown at the end of the first half.
Do you remember how long it was?
I believe it was like 107 yards.
The kick.
The kick, I think the kick was like, I want to say it was like 58.
Oh, not even in the 60s.
Yeah, it wasn't as long as some of these impossibly long attempts.
In today's day and age, I wouldn't even send someone back on a 58-yard field goal.
The thing I remember is less the distance. I remember Keith Burns getting blown up by a Raven on the return. It
didn't happen often.
Yeah,
it was blown up.
It was an awful night, and that put the Broncos behind 31-3 at halftime to a team led by Chris Redman.
Oh my God!
Who?
That was exactly.
Did he wear number 2?
No, I want to say he wore like another single digit, not number 7. That was Kyle Bowler.
I think he wore number 2.
That'd be impressive.
All right, we have lots of super
Was it
chats.
like number 8 or number 9?
Number 8 would work in my head too.
And you're also just used to seeing Baltimore quarterbacks wear number 8, right?
True.
That's
Let's
true.
see
It's very
here.
true.
All right.
It's not on his pro football. Oh wait, there it is. He wore. Oh, he did wear 7. So he had 7 right before Kyle Bowler did.
Interesting. All right.
yeah.
I think we have about 7 super chats to get here. So
let's
let's go quickly. From Angel or Angel. If Moore plays great, do we sign him for another year?
Wow.
I mean, you're
We're
talking
about David Moore.
right. Yeah, David Moore. His highlights are really good.
The Broncos got a good guy off a practice squad.
Yeah.
They did George Payton did a great job getting a guy that can play off the Raiders practice squad.
That guy has been productive. He's got 13 touchdowns. He's got over 1,100 yards for his career. He's not. Let's put it this way: he's not a developmental guy. Is he an every down guy? Probably not. Is he a good rotational receiver? Yes. I don't know if you're talking about re-signing him.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but
I think he's a good Band-Aid for this year.
If he plays really well, yeah, you sign him to a vetman deal.
and that's what we're talking about, though. We're talking about him being the 5th guy on your team, and
Totally.
5th wide receiver, and there's nothing wrong with that. But he's not gonna overtake Jerry Jeudy or Tim Patrick or anything.
Right, and the question is always, is he actually good, or did he just play with Russell Wilson?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
We're about to find out.
Yeah, exactly.
Or as Kubiak would say, we're fixing to find out.
All right, next one. We missed you yesterday, RK. Here's $2.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
If I leave for a day, can I get $2?
Yeah, where's my $2 when I'm...
You know, I don't know, guys.
I love you.
I could use a little money in the road trip dinner fund.
$2. That'll get you like a side of honey butter.
Is there
It'll get you a side of coleslaw at Permane Brothers.
There you go.
Oh.
I think next week.
Are there even dollar menus anymore at fast food places?
Yes, McDonald's still has.
Still has a dollar menu. Okay.
Wendy's,
Get
I
you
don't
two
think.
burgers.
I don't think Wendy's is a dollar menu, but it's what they call value menu.
That's
yep.
like $1.69.
Yeah.
Squeezing us. Another one here.
Ooh, and hell again.
Trend that I'm catching on to, we are causing turnovers later in the game. We need to start with turnovers.
Yes,
love that.
That's a good point.
Would you rather have turnovers early or late?
Well, late to close it out.
Right.
But I see what he's saying and that's kind of how sometimes sacks are. Sacks come at the end of a game, and sometimes they're real sacks, and sometimes they're garbage time sacks. But you do want to see a little more at the beginning of a game. So I see what you're saying, but to Ryan's point, if you can close out a game with one, that's key.
Well,
Yeah.
and if you can close it out the way the Raiders closed out the Ravens with a giveaway, that's the kind of thing you want. That's perfect.
Yep.
Man, that game, just looking back on that game, I just don't know what the hell the Ravens were thinking. Like, I'm just hoping they do the same dumb stuff in this game that they did in that one, because the Broncos have a great chance to win.
Seriously.
One thing that was evident, and I think it hasn't gone away, is with the injuries at running back. Clearly, when it comes to running backs in pass pro, they're struggling right now. They have not replaced what they lost before this season. And so I think that's going to play into the Broncos' hands as well to make Lamar Jackson uncomfortable. The thing is, you want to keep him in the pocket, but you don't want him escaping. That's where you get a pass rush going, take advantage of the running back struggling in pass pro, but then the guys on the edges have to be disciplined and not let Lamar out of the pocket.
All right, what's next?
Yeah, what is this one here?
Ooh, from Nick. Thank you. He says RK's 133 greater than Justin Simmons' 3,200. So, of course, you know Justin Simmons played in 3,200 straight snaps.
Yes.
Oh, now I know what it's referring to.
And he's referring to my streak of 133 consecutive Buffs home games, which will end this Saturday, sadly.
You know, I always had this vision of you being like these people in this Sports Illustrated article I read when I was a kid. There was an article about these fans that it was in the 80s, like these fans that had been going to every game since like before the Great Depression. Like there was like a USC fan and a Nebraska fan and then like a fan of I think North Carolina A&T and some other people. And I always thought that would be you, like you're 80 years old and you've been to like every Buff home game since. When did your streak start?
2001.
Yeah, and how old were you?
9.
Yeah, see, like you're 85-year-old Ryan Koenigsberg. You've been to every Buff home game for 70-some years.
But there's probably a part in that article where they each describe how many people that they love that they let down to go to those games.
Well, that they
and
missed things
I couldn't be that guy
missed
anymore.
A wedding or
yeah, exactly. Like, I missed the birth of my child to go to. And it's like, Jesus, man.
I commend you for that, big time.
Yeah, so I guess that's growing up a little bit.
And
honestly,
missing a funeral, like because what if you go to the game instead of the funeral, and the rationalization you have is, well, the friend would have wanted me to be here.
I mean, they probably would, but
the friend wouldn't have wanted their funeral on the game day.
Right, exactly.
That's true.
Yeah, don't ever put my funeral on a game day. Right, it's my last dying wish. So the streak is sadly coming to an end. I would be lying if I said it didn't have anything to do with how bad the Buffs are, but it mostly has to do with wanting to be a better friend.
Oh, that's pretty cool. And 6 days after Justin Simmons' streak ends, your streak ends.
Yes, me and Justin, I don't know, can have a beer about it.
Yes, and you made $19.99 off it.
And I made $20, which will buy me like one drink in LA this weekend.
Oh, there you go. Continue that streak. Start a streak.
Exactly. New streak starts probably with a Buffs win. Touch wood, against Arizona in 2 weeks.
There we go.
All right, last one of the super chats. Another one. All right. Well, Greg says, I'm really only concerned with our offense against better teams and containing the run, whether Lamar or just one of their many running backs, but none of them are really worth anything.
Yeah, they're kind of 1 foot in the grave, some of these guys at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that if I had to make a bold prediction about what happens this week, it would be the whole world isn't necessarily talking about the Broncos. The whole world's talking about the Broncos defense because they held the Ravens to 14 points or 13 points, and that's how they won the game.
And as great as Teddy Bridgewater is and has been up to this point, we haven't been talking about the Broncos as having one of the best offenses in the NFL, but they are outperforming what they need to do. The defense needs to be elite for this team to make the playoff or to be really good, and the offense just needs to be average. Right now, guys, the offense is a borderline top 10 offense, so they are outperforming themselves. So you're right. If the Broncos are going to be a great team, it's going to be because of their defense, and that's what people are going to be talking about, especially when you're shutting down Lamar Jackson.
On a per-possession basis, they actually are a top 10 offense across the board. Adjusted points per possession, 10th. Net yards, 5th. Time of possession, 1st. Drives ending in turnovers, they're 8th. So there's nothing illegitimate about what they're doing. Now, people say, oh, what about the competition? Well, I decided to say, okay, I want to compare this team to last year's team. They've played 3 defenses that were 16, 23, and 27 in DVOA on Football Outsiders, right? So I went and looked at what the Broncos did against defenses that were 16 or lower in DVOA last year. The guys, they are averaging nearly 0.8 of a point more per possession. And you figure an average game has about 10 possessions. That's basically 8 points more per game with an average number of possessions. They're averaging 10 more yards every drive than they did last year. These are things that they add up. They keep the defense off the field. They're holding on to the ball for over a minute longer per drive than they were last year against those comparable back half of the league defenses.
What's crazy is how much in 2021 and in the last few years, 10 yards really matters just because of how good the punters are. Because basically, if you get one first down on a drive, your punter can flip the field. Now, Sam Martin, not quite as good as some of the other ones in the league, but basically, like, you think about it when you're playing a team with a really good punter. If they're punting from the 30, like, they're putting you inside the 20, or at least on the 20.
Yep,
it's
is crazy.
So crazy. Like, I almost wonder if eventually we're going to get to a point where they're going to have to, like, change the punting rules or something to not allow punters to hit, because it's only going to keep getting further.
Yep.
There might be a point where a 3-and-out is fine. You just bomb it to the other side of the field.
And when everyone gets their Bajorkins, then they'll be doing that.
Put some respect on that man's name. It's Bajorquez.
There
Did
we
you say
go.
Bajorkins?
I said Bajorquez. And Mace, you wrote a great article about that, just detailing that even more, and you guys can find it over at the DNVR.com.
Thank you for the plug. And it's, but it was interesting, and I thought, and I put that in there to compare them against back half of the league defenses, because the argument. Oh, look what they're doing against lesser competition. Well, they're profoundly better against lesser competition than they were against the same caliber of defense last year. And if you have that with the way the defense is playing, you have something that's probably going to work. I finished. Sometimes you dive into something and it changes your perspective. When I was done writing that story, I think I may have changed my prediction on this game, but we'll get into that tomorrow.
Love it.
All right, before we move on, I want to give a shout out to our friends over at Solace Meds, who have smoking hot deals this month. And the best part about Solace Med is the discount parlay. Yes, I did create that term.
Love it.
You can parlay all of their discounts together to create a super discount. And unlike a regular parlay, this one has a 100% chance of hitting. What you can do is go to any of their convenient Colorado locations in Fort Collins, Wheat Ridge, one just off of Broadway, and one blocks away from the DNVR Bar on East Colfax. And then you capitalize on their great deals. So they've got 25% off Can America gummies, 20% off strains, tinctures, 25% off Rockin' cartridges, 20% off Glacier concentrates. You say, okay, that's a good deal. Then you go to the desk and you say, hey, I'm with the DNVR squad. I'm using the code DNVR20. So then they give you another 20% off on top of that. And then they say, well, just because we love you and you're part of the DNVR fam, we're also going to give you a free Solace Bar or King Cone of your choice. And then you get to combine all three of those into one incredible package. Thanks to our friends over at Solace Meds. So check them out, SOLACEmeds.com.
Talking about incredible packages, gotta tell you about our friends over at Manscaped, where you need to make your package look incredible, and there's no better way to do it than with the Lawnmower 4.0. Guys, I tell you all the time about how it's waterproof, wireless charging so the battery lasts forever. It has the LED light, but one thing that you can't overlook is the advanced skin-safe technology, because the last thing you want to do to your incredible package is nick it. And with the advanced skin-safe technology, you are not going to do that, and you find that on their Lawnmower 4.0. Get that, and also check out the Performance Package 4.0, which you'll get the Lawnmower 4.0. You'll get the Crop Preserver, the Crop Reviver, boxer briefs, the best performance boxer briefs you'll get, and a travel bag to put all of this stuff so you can have it anywhere you go. And you can get this for 20% off and free shipping over at manscaped.com. Just use the code DNVR, and you'll get 20% off and free shipping.
You know what? If you're taking advantage of Manscaped and if you're taking care of things down there, you're going to want a little extra energy, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to share what you've
share your
cultivated
incredible
from
package.
Manscaped. Yes, share your package. But you need a little extra energy sometimes to get going. Well, Strava Craft Coffee can help you out with that.
Not where it sounded like that was going.
Yes, because you have a little coffee, you get those vibes going, you feel good, you get the energy going. The other thing is Strava Craft Coffee is CBD infused.
So are you saying Strava Craft Coffee is a certified aphrodisiac?
It might be, but I know this, that if you've got some aches and pains that are maybe keeping you from wanting to perform, maybe you've had some headaches that's keeping you from performing, you have some of that CBD infused coffee, you might find that CBD will help take care of those headaches. I've found that out as well from some CBD supplements, like the stuff from Strava Craft Coffee. And guess what? They've got a new discount code for you. You know about the code DNVR20. Well, now it's DNVR25 for 25% off your order. And if you want to subscribe and get a discount all the time, every 2, 4, 6, 8 weeks, however often you need your coffee to come, you can subscribe to Strava Craft Coffee and get 20% off your Strava order for life. So if you want to just try it once, come to the DNVR Bar, have some of the Strava's incredible cold brew. It's on tap at the DNVR Bar. If you've never tried the rich CBD-infused Strava Craft coffee, use the code 25%, save 25% off your first order. CBD-infused coffee can help with chronic headaches, joint pains, IBS, and so much more. And guess what? And you know what? Might find it helps you with something different. So check out Strava Craft Coffee. Use the code DNVR25. Get 25% off, or become a subscriber and get 20% off for life at Strava Craft Coffee.
All right, do we have any more super chats that we needed to get?
Oh, you bet we do.
Oh, boy. All right. And we got super chats, then we got to get to questions from the listener, so we will move quickly here. I love the super chat. Shout out to you guys. All right, another one from Angel. What week will PS2 get his pick 6?
Pittsburgh.
Okay, I like
Ben's
it.
going to be tossing him.
Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Damn it, you took my pick.
I'm in on that too.
I'm
You
gonna
can be
say,
in on it.
Nah, I'm just gonna go a little bit later and say he's gonna make Taylor Heineke reach for a Heineken.
I love it. Reach for his Heine as he's chasing him.
Yeah.
All right, what else? Oh, Nick coming back.
Oh, Nick. He
Wow.
says, Zach, here's for never using Packers sleeves on your soda cans.
Wow, called out.
Oh, you went no sleeve
Sleeveless.
today. Okay,
No
there we
sleeves.
go.
Yeah, I went,
Nick,
well,
that's for
I
you
went,
maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I have sleeves, but I went sleeveless on my thing. I should have just gone with the Braves one today.
I think you should have gone sleeveless on your arms.
Why? It's cool out. It was like 58 degrees when I
I think,
left my place.
I think our first show, all pants.
Oh, wow. I don't like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
back
either.
to wearing. So we're
Supposed
back
to
to
be-
wearing pants here on the show. I mean, do we want to do a pantsless show at some point?
Yeah, people have been asking
yes.
for that
yes.
on DNVR OnlyFans.
New pants, no pants Tuesday. I mean, what do we want to do here?
Yeah, it's supposed to be like 50 and rainy this evening.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Nope, hate it.
We need a little rain though. It's my card.
All right, from J Day. It was Ray Lewis with that big hit, Mace. Also,
Yep.
who are your guys' surprise player this week? For some reason, I think Bryce will get a pick in this game.
Ooh.
I'm going to say surprise player is Caden Stearns.
Oh, again.
Yes.
Oh.
Well, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be a pick or anything like that. I just think maybe he plays a game that has Broncos fans buzzing a little bit.
And I think Alberto will have a big game.
Nice.
I'm gonna. Would it be a surprise to say Noah Fant?
Yeah. No. I'll
After
allow
what's
it.
happened, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go Noah Fant.
There we
Nice.
go.
That would
Noah
be
Fant
huge.
goes off on Sunday.
Okay, last one here again from Angel. Thank you
Thank
for
you,
all
Angel.
the super chats. See y'all when the Lions come to Denver. I'm coming from California with my girl.
Let's
Excited to join you on Sunday.
go.
That'll be awesome. Make sure you
Let's
get signed up for the
go.
DNVR
Yes.
tailgate and all that.
Let me ask you guys this, because Angel's coming for the Lions game, and people can only sometimes only come to one game a year. Do you choose a game that's a better matchup, a better team coming in, or do you choose one that's a more likely win?
It
one game
depends on the
matchup.
quality of your team.
Right.
So for me, the Broncos aren't quite to the point yet where I'm saying like you got to get the Chiefs tickets,
Right.
Because I just think you're gonna have more fun if they win. Now, it's like a bet, right? If you bet on the Broncos to beat the Chiefs, you have a lot more fun when they win because you get 6-1 or whatever it might be. But this is a big bet that you're making. It's maybe just better to take a nice easy money line.
And that's what the Lions are.
Yes.
right
Well,
now.
hopefully.
Your streak got me thinking that you're bailing on the SC game. Not that SC is anything special this year, but you're going to be back for the Arizona game, which is basically one of the few games that if you're a Buff fan, you can put in Sharpie as a dub.
I don't put
Putting in
anything in Sharpie. But it
Not that
should
you're,
be a win.
Arizona's just...
They lost to Northern Arizona. So.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
And you did not lose to Northern Colorado.
And Northern Colorado beat Northern Arizona.
Oh, my goodness. Does Arizona have a win?
No. They haven't won in about 7,000 days. I mean, wait.
Did they not win last year?
No, they didn't win last year.
Oh, my
So 700 and I think it's actually into the thousands.
Wow.
I don't know why 7,000 was in my head, but I think
That
it was like
is pathetic.
1,700 maybe. I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, their last win was... I'm looking. It was in 2019 sometime. They
Okay,
went
so
4-8 that year.
so are they into the thousands?
No, they wouldn't be into the thousands.
It'd be
They
700s. I think you're right.
Okay, I was in the
Their
700s.
last win was October 5th, 2019,
7,000
against the Buffs.
So disrespectful.
Oh no, against the Buffs.
Was it really?
Yes, 35-30.
That was a
At
Khalil
Folsom.
Tate game.
Yeah.
Oh, yep.
They were 4-1
Speaking of Lamar Jackson, Khalil
at
Tate.
that point.
Yeah, Khalil Tate was the Lamar Jackson of the Pac-12.
Yes, he was. He was.
Only when he played the Buffs, though. Anyways, I don't know. I had 7,000. That's hilarious. That would be a long time.
It's 700.
It is 700. Yeah, I just
It's
added
north
a
of
zero.
700. Yeah, add a zero. It's fine.
Okay. Any more super chats? Okay, now we can get into the comments from our listeners and members at DNVR, thednvr.com. So make sure you become a member there. This one's from Jock, who says, which Broncos player in your experience was the best all time when it came to dealing with the media?
Oh, wow. Okay, I hate to choose one. There have been so many. I'll just name some that I like. Keith Burns getting another shout out on this podcast. He was terrific. John Lynch as a star player with media. Always had time, always tremendous. Once you got past the gruff exterior of Rod Smith, he was gold. Like, we kind of had this thing when I was covering him where I'd ask him something, and he'd say, hell no! And then he'd, like, quietly say, what you want, man? Rod's still the best. I see him from time to time. He still kind of plays that up. It's all good. Let's see. Brandon Stokely, no surprise that he went into media because in all of his stints here, he was tremendous.
Justin Simmons
Justin
right now.
Simmons is
we're,
Only two-time Good Guy Award winner ever.
Chris Harris Jr.
So I was going to choose Chris.
Yeah.
Chris was my favorite.
Yep.
Mostly just because like he would give good answers on camera, and you could have great conversations with him off camera. Some guys are one or the other.
Yep.
Like
Right.
Justin, I personally haven't had a lot of like great locker room conversations with Justin, but he's amazing when you put a camera up. You know,
Akib. It was also fantastic.
Akib was great.
Yeah.
Brandon Marshall as well. Man, that 2015 team was full of those guys. Like
Yeah.
CJ
Well, when you win,
Anderson.
everyone's
Yeah.
a lot
Exactly.
easier to talk to.
It's harder when you're losing. I admit, there are more of those guys when you're winning. But I also, when you're a team that was a bad Bronco team, 2010, a guy who was always good with us in the media was Brian Dawkins.
Yeah, and
course.
I guess I'd take back what I said about Justin a little bit. It's not that he's like not willing to
Right.
talk to you off camera. It's just like guys like Chris, Shane Ray's another one who like you could just talk to for like 30 straight minutes while you're sitting in the locker room. Justin's got probably better things to do.
right. Next one from Windy City Broncos says, the one thing that hasn't been proven about this team is the ability to come from behind. This team is built well for keeping a lead, and we've shown that ability in spades. If Teddy can go lead an 80-yard touchdown drive in a late-game 2-minute drill, then we are definitely for real. If he can do that, then I think he's a complete answer at quarterback. Can't wait to find out.
It's probably the worst attribute of his career to this point. Is his ability to lead late game comeback drives. I think he's had 12 opportunities, and he's only done it once. So you're asking a lot for him to suddenly be good at that, but confidence goes a long way, man. If they had that opportunity this week, I would be confident in Teddy because I think Teddy would be really confident in Teddy.
You say confidence goes a long way, and I kind of wonder if that narrative would have been different if Blair Walsh makes that kick in Minnesota back in January 2016 when Teddy did lead the Vikings through the Legion of Boom into what should have been a sure chip shot field goal that Walsh missed. Bad hold, bad kick, everything about it. Maybe the narrative and maybe what happens after that is different for Teddy.
Very true.
If you have
Maybe.
that. So, but everything it seems like Teddy has finally gotten back to where he was before the injury derailed him, and maybe this is kind of the fresh start, and if he has that opportunity, you'll see what you're looking for this time. I hope so.
It's a great stat, unfortunately,
Yeah,
but a great stat.
it is.
Next one from Lionel Hutz, attorney law says, gentlemen, out of curiosity, do either of you know what the story is behind Teddy wearing gloves?
I don't.
I don't either. Mace, do you know?
I meant to look this up last night, and I didn't. Here it is. He played wide receiver in high school.
And that
Got
was
used
it.
to wearing gloves.
I was actually thinking like, oh, was he just like messing around one day, like playing wide receiver, and then just threw it and was like, oh,
Wow.
kind of like the way
a lot
that.
better.
I don't know how he does it because I've thrown with and without gloves too, and throwing with gloves feels so unnatural. It reminds me of putting with a glove. You know, I don't know if you guys have that experience, but like usually most golfers get to the green, you take your glove off just to have more feel of the club. And if you putt with a glove, it just feels like your left hand is like not even on the club for some reason, even though you're doing it the whole rest of the round. Same thing I feel about wearing. It doesn't feel like your hand is on the ball. It just feels weird.
Oh, that's interesting.
Do you wear 2 gloves when you hit or just one?
No, just one.
See, I've been known to wear 2 gloves. Now, he said this was to 9 News actually earlier this month. He said, quote, I played wide receiver. I played some wide receiver in high school. There were times in the middle of the drive I might have to go to quarterback. I didn't have time to throw the gloves off. I'd go in and play quarterback with the gloves. And then when I got to Louisville, I was a mid-year guy because he came in. He was an early enrollee. I graduated from high school early. Quote, it was very cold to me coming from South Florida, and we were throwing the type of football not suited for cold weather. So I decided to throw the gloves on. I started having success in spring ball when I got there, and I ran with it.
How about that? That's pretty cool. It makes sense.
Next one's from Orange Crushing, and it says, haven't commented in a long time, but here we go. You guys said something yesterday that bothered me a bit about the coaching staff's plans. You mentioned that they likely had a KJ Hamler package where they were reserving for when they had to score a lot of points. You know what you never hear about the Chiefs? That they've been holding on to the Tyreek Hill package for a rainy day. They can score a 70-yard TD on any given play, and I think it's a big reason that they get a ton of practice by deploying their weapons at full strength regardless of the competition. Great teams will line up against the worst teams and drop 50 just because they can. I know Fangio and Shermer want to play it safe, but I've always been skeptical about the Broncos' prospects long-term until the overall philosophy in the building changes. The idea of playing good defense and having a solid run game with few turnovers just doesn't compete in the league where the best teams are scoring 40-plus on a weekly basis. That's not true. It worked for Denver in 2015, but that was a generational defense. This defense is good, but we're not talking about an equivalent of what we had that year. I think they make the playoffs and lose in round 1 and 2, but until coaches start coaching to win instead of coaching not to lose, I think they're going to fall very short every year. I love 3-0, and I'm very happy about how they've been playing. I just hate seeing dive plays on 2nd and 10 every single game. Vanilla offense will get beat up on bad teams. I just think it's going to fall flat when they see a great defense on the other side of the field. Okay, a couple narratives that I just don't agree with here. First, I pointed it out. No one scores 40 a game. No one even scores 30 a game, generally.
There's like 1 or 2 teams that only get just over 30.
Yes, exactly.
In terms of average.
Yeah, even today it's remarkable.
Right. The other thing there is that the Chiefs are always dialing up the Tyreek Hill plays. That's also not true. You'll see them play games down to their competition for the exact reason we're talking about here. They don't want to pull out all the stops. Then when if it doesn't work for them and they get into the 4th quarter and it's still a close game, then you'll see them, go deeper into the bag. The difference here, I think, is that the bag for them is so deep. The Tyreek Hill package is like 100 plays.
Right.
So they don't have to hold them back. And the other truth is that Tyreek Hill can just handle a lot more usage than KJ Hamler has proven he's able to handle.
And the other thing is, how long have they been running that scheme with those skill players? That matters as well.
Stack up.
Yeah, they stack up. You're in year 2 with Pat Shermer here, and you've got a lot of young guys. You don't yet have all of that stuff in your toolbox just yet. So it does, I think, take a little time. Now, I get your concern here, but I would also say for the overall team building philosophy, this is kind of an old school take, but a wise man in football told me once, you have to learn how not to lose before you learn how to win.
Also, I would say that going to the playoffs and losing in the first round is a successful season, a very successful season for the Broncos this year, and that would be moving in the right direction for this coach.
And they're not going to lose in the first round of the playoffs because they were holding something for the second round of the playoffs.
Right, I wouldn't think so.
And really, if you've got a potential sale of the team coming into play, there's urgency in that building to get to the playoffs because effectively this season might be your audition for getting some time from a new owner.
All right, Mason,
for everybody.
Next
right
one's
up
for you.
Right up to the GM. It's from Count Bridgewater. I have to get used to that. I'm still used to Count
I know.
Locker. Does anyone know why DT was not at the home opener as advertised? Also, would Jamie Collins be worthwhile just for veteran presence, playoff experience, and love the Count?
That's a good
I don't know
question.
why
We don't know,
Yeah.
but I don't have a good feeling about it.
Yeah, it's a really good observation, Count.
Tim Patrick even wore a Demaryius Thomas jersey into the stadium.
Yeah.
So everyone was expecting DT to be there. I hope
Hope he's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's all I could say.
Yeah, I agree with that. Next one from Melbourne Broncos says, "Hi guys, I agree with the comment yesterday from a YouTube fan about Shermer holding back plays for big games coming up. I think Fangio would be doing the same, holding plays back so teams can't plan is the smart move." So that's funny. In 3 comments, we had 2 opposite views of that.
Well, and they're 3-0. So whatever they did was right.
Yep.
Now you could say, well, you could have put up 40 on the Jets. Yes, you could have. You actually could have done it if Javonte Williams didn't just make 2 mistakes.
Yep. But you still got the dub.
But you got the
convincing dub too.
And
by
who
the way.
cares? Yeah. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they use that same RPO with Noah Fant on the goal line this week.
We'll love it. We'll love it.
Yep.
Love Thunder Down Under says, "Man, I feel like we all forgot about Bryce Callahan. That dude was a top slot corner last year, and he's looked flawless this year. Or has he looked flawless this year, or am I missing something?"
He's looked pretty good to me.
Yep.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about him because he's good. And cornerbacks, just like offensive linemen, if you don't talk about him, it's a good thing.
You're looking at a scenario where the guys who've been tested have been Fuller and Pat Surtain. Surtain being tested because he's a rookie. Aside from a couple of hiccups from Fuller, he's passed the test.
Yeah.
Aside from a couple of hiccups from Pat Surtain, he's passed the test.
All right, we got a couple more that we got to hit here. Rapid fire.
Yeah.
Sir James says, Mace had mentioned the 2002 Bucks as a comp, but the more I watch this team, the more parallels I see with the 2003 Panthers. Defensive-minded coaching staff, tenacious secondary, and almost dominant defensive line. A scrappy young offense led by a quarterback that bounced around the league, NFL, Europe, and was really counted out along the way. Jake Delhomme even lost the initial QB battle in camp, only to be inserted after halftime when Rodney Peete had a meltdown of a first half in week 1. An almost automatic kicking situation. The 2003 Panthers team was not supposed to do the things they did and were counted out every step of the way. They were only a John Casey kickoff away from winning the Super Bowl that year.
It's a great comp. They went 11-5 and won a couple of road games in the playoffs. Beat the still potent Rams in St. Louis in overtime. The famous X-Clown play from Jake Delhomme to Steve Smith. And the one thing you think about, they had an explosive component to their offense, even though Jake Delhomme was in his first full year as a starter. That explosive component was both Steve Smith and Muhsin Muhammad as the other wide receiver. And you haven't seen that except for glimpses, but that's one reason why I think it's an interesting parallel, because you get Jerry Jeudy healthy, Cortland Sutton keeps working his way back. Maybe you can do some of those types of things to stretch the field and be dynamic that allow you to make the kind of run the Panthers did, because that's what pushed them over the top, was the fact that they could go vertical, that they had 2 receivers that were tough to defend.
And we'll end on this one, guys, from True Champ Fan 24, and it's a cool one. He says, "My people's hearing all these stories about the bar and other members traveling out there is bumming me out. I'm missing the party. I already have a trip planned out for next year. Just waiting on tickets for next season. I got 2 of my buddies all hyped for DNVR, and they aren't even Colorado sports fans. Hope everyone is doing well. Love you all." Man, that is cool.
Love to hear it. Can't wait for next year. Wish you could find a way to make it out here this year, which I know tons of people will be this weekend. So, again, one last reminder to get in on your tickets to the tailgate, or especially get in on your tickets to the bus if you are going to take the bus to the tailgate, because those actually sell out. Tailgate, we've got quite a lot of room over there, so hopefully we fill it up even more this week. Also, make sure you check out our friends over at msudenver.edu/online to see all they have to offer. They are amazing. Great place to further your education while working a full-time job. I want to give a shout-out to everyone who left a super chat. Shout-out to all the Ravens fans in the comments helping boost up our numbers. And shout-out to you guys for a great show. We'll see you guys later.